Hi, and welcome everyone. My name is Nick Andrews. I'm a marketing coach here at Liberty Mutual and Safeco Insurance. I will be your host for today's agency video panel. And today's panel isn't focused on theory. It's about actual agents who are doing actual marketing tactics that are driving new business. And the topic of today's video panel is all about Facebook. And no, we're not talking about some of the basic Facebook posting tactics. We're talking about some real advanced lead generation stuff. This is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. And with that, I'd like to introduce today's panelists. So joining us from my home state of Connecticut, it's Chris Paradiso of Paradiso Insurance. Chris, how are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Doing well.
So Chris, how long have you been in insurance?
Oof, you're making me feel old. 22 years I've been at this grind. Started in life insurance, only about 16 in the property and casualty.
Oh, wow. And Chris, I have to ask, if you had to sing karaoke, what song would you choose?
Aaron Lewis, Country Boy, all day long.
I love it. I love it. Our next agent is Cam Winterburn of Winterburn and Associates. Cam, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Cam, how long have you been in insurance?
Been in insurance going on 10 years now, and getting better every day.
Awesome. And a burning question here, Cam. What is your most used emoji?
It depends on the audience, but I'll just go with a thumbs up.
I like it. Thanks. And a vendor joins us as our third panelist. It's Patrick Luley from Constant Contact. Patrick is the Director of Social and Digital Communications. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Patrick, how long have you been with Constant Contact?
Closing in on 4 years now, and then before that, I was in higher ed a little bit, and was a journalist for a little while as well.
Oh, exciting! And Patrick, what actor would be cast to play you in a movie about your life?
I'm gonna go straight looks on this one and say Rupert Grint, because I got that ginger thing going on. So
I'm gonna have to Google that one after. I have to admit, I haven't.
Ron from Harry Potter. There you go.
Okay, got it. Great. Thank you so much for those questions and answers. That was excellent. So why don't we jump right into what we're here to talk about today, which is advanced Facebook marketing. The first question, I'd like to open it up to Cam. So Cam, Facebook is really pushing groups. I see commercials for Facebook groups. Facebook groups seem to really be a really strong part of Facebook's plan moving forward. How is your agency utilizing Facebook groups, and are you generating leads through Facebook groups?
Definitely. It's probably our biggest now. And that's everything from, we're pretty active in several insurance agents Facebook groups that, have been very helpful for us. But on a lead standpoint, several years ago, we wound up into a niche market of agricultural stuff, specifically mortality for cattle. The groups have allowed us to connect with people nationwide and build rapport within the groups and referrals and everything from there. And it's really allowed us to slingshot that business. I think we're writing it in 21 states now, from a small agency in town just outside of Tennessee, and that's just in the matter of a couple years.
Oh, wow. So Patrick, when we're thinking about groups and a small business entering a group from a content perspective and from an engagement perspective, how do you kind of finesse the group and make it look like you're not just trying to sell, but how do you kind of work that?
I always say the first thing to do is really act human, right? So if you have a business page for your agency, and then you have a personal page, or maybe you have something that's kind of in between, you kind of want to act in the group as the person. So these groups are about one-to-one connection, and sometimes you'll see like a business page will pop in because it's been allowed in, and it just feels a little out of place, right? So I often say there's benefits to both personal profiles on Facebook and business profiles on Facebook. In the case of groups, you want to lean toward that personal connection.
Great. And Chris, is your agency doing anything in the Facebook group space?
Yeah, what we do is maybe a little different approach. If I look back at the errors I've made starting my agency and not purchasing right from the beginning to be able to have some bulk, so I've kind of reapproached our Facebook group. So there are some groups in niche marketings that we work in, and what I did is reached out to the administrators and the owners and recently purchased them. I say recently, in the last 12 to 16 months. And they had done the heavy lifting of recruiting and bringing the people within their industry into this group. And now I really, yes, I do own the group, but the goal is education. How do we share and educate? For example, everything that's going on, nobody really knows what's going on with the PPP, right? Is it going to be forgiven? Is it not going to be forgiven? Filling that information in times like this, and before times like this, it was all about education on safety. The groups that we're looking at, they're high premiums. Small premiums are 100 grand on workers' comp. So we really hyper focus on safety tips versus actually selling. And we also focused on the lawsuits that these people were seeing, which employment practices is huge within this group, and it's amazing. We sold one yesterday. Somebody spoke up about it and said, hey, I keep seeing about this. I don't know enough about it. And one of my agents kind of felt bad saying, hey, can we connect offline? Let's just set up a Zoom and chit chat it and close. That's the first piece of the business. Now the comp is over 350,000, but just realize that the start inside that group builds that relationship. They already trust us. They just bought a policy from us. Now it's to go after the really good policies with the meat and potatoes.
So what I'm hearing is be personal, be human, be authentic. And Cam, can you kind of finish us off with groups, and how are you specifically communicating in those groups? What type of content are you posting?
Just most of it is just interacting within them. I want to be the center of influence. If they have a question, I want to be the one that everybody turns to, whether it's anything insurance related. I've answered questions in states that I can't write. I don't really push our sales side of it. I want to be the center of influence, and who everybody turns to, and then it feeds back from there.
Great.
Nick,
So,
I would suggest to
yes.
agency owners buy the groups if you can get opportunities to buy groups. There's huge opportunities in there. You can all take a CRM tool and dump all those opportunities in there. There's a lot you can do if you own the group.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I like that. So let's jump to the different advertising options. And Facebook just has this huge array of options. You could boost a post, you could drive Facebook ads to your website to try to get more likes. So Chris, with what your agency is doing on Facebook, how do you start your Facebook lead generation? What specific ad types are you using?
Well, first off, I would even step back and say, if you want to learn more about all the stuff, because there's so much, go to Blueprint. It's a free educational tool. Unfortunately, a lot of agencies don't know that, and just giving that information, I think, will be critical, so that allows them to read about all the different options. I will say we've tried just about every opportunity, and I can tell you they all work. Some work better. Some, the content isn't just the right content and putting in front of the people at the right time. There's a lot that goes behind it. I would tell you today, the number one thing that we are doing is spending time boosting our brand and then going after those people who like our branded post. We recently had a post of the unknown soldier. We have 19,000 shares right now on it, and it's been about 4 weeks. And we've accumulated an enormous, large group of opportunity of people who have the same brand as we do. So now what I'm ciphering out, taking that information and putting it in a database, because we do have a tool to database to understand whether these people have homes, cars, what's the average income of the people on their street. So we're taking those out, siphoning them into an arena to figure out who's truly an opportunity that we should be going after.
Well, very impressive, Chris. I'm sure a lot of agents will have follow-up questions with you on that at the end. So Patrick, I'm interested to hear what you think. So at Constant Contact, you work with a wide range of industries, including insurance. What do you see as the different type of Facebook ad options that are working?
Like Chris said, I think there's so many options, and that has been overwhelming for a lot of businesses. They just don't get started because it feels like it's something that they're not going to be able to do very effectively. And I think there are a lot of folks now who have created tools on top of Facebook that have made it easier to get out of it what you want. But going in, you absolutely have to know what you want to get out of it, right? So as you said, Chris, if you're focused on brand, Facebook and Instagram are great channels for that, because CPMs, and that's kind of cost for reaching 1,000 impressions are super cheap. So you can reach a lot of people really effectively on this channel. In fact, in the time we're living in right now, even more effectively because Facebook usage is through the roof. That being said, there is a lead gen advertising tool within Facebook, and it's real. The golden nature of that is that Facebook has all this data on you, right? It has your email address, it has where you live, it has your job. And when you go create the form in that lead ad, and then a user clicks on that ad, the form is pre-populated with all their information. So they just click submit and boom, it's yours. And that gets into my favorite part of why you want to use lead ads is social media in general. You don't own that audience unless you get that email address, unless you get something out of it, either via your site or via a lead ad. So you have to be focused on not just growing your page. Growing your page is good, but I wouldn't make that a priority. Make the priority building an audience where you can get it and you can keep it and you can take it to other channels.
That's very interesting. So I know at one point it was trying to get as many likes as possible on your page. That was really the strategy. Now it really kind of sounds like getting that an engaged audience. Yeah. Chris, as you mentioned, people following your brand, that's really more important. And Cam, in your Facebook advertising journey, have you ever experimented with paying for any advertising?
We've done the lead forms. We have ran in the past leads from kind of an incognito site where they were not ours, that were a little more pushy. We had some success there. It was just not something that was really on brand for us. So we've used, kind of a behind the scenes site or page to do that as well. Yes, we've done it all. And there's a time and a place for everything. When we're running an agency, kind of like Chris, where you've got the local aspect, we use different tools for that than we do for something where, we're running the niche market that may be working on a national level. So.
Great. So Patrick, I want to jump back to something you said earlier when we were talking about groups. You were mentioning that there's a place for a business profile and then there's a place for a personal profile. I would love to talk about that a little bit more. What are some just high-level best practices on how business can engage with their personal profile and their brand page?
I would, in the case of probably a lot of the agents and agencies out there, and I'm not the expert on this, so I'll let the experts below, weigh on this too. But you're going to want to have both, and part of the reason is you can't run certain advertising out of a personal profile. Like Facebook just won't let you. So you can't really have one or the other, but you should have both. And it's almost like there's actually three, right? You want your business page, you want your business personal profile, and then you want your probably personal profile, right? Like you don't want you don't want your personal profile and your business profile to be one and the same. So you want to think about having two of those, perhaps. If you're fine having them overlap, then that's personal preference. Interacting as each other, I would say be transparent and be honest. Like connect the dots. Say you work for that agency. Bring. Make it cyclical. How you're bringing folks back and forth through them. But there are definitely pros and cons to each, but you do have to have both, in my view.
That's an interesting idea. I've actually never heard of that. So I have my personal Nick Andrews profile. Then also, in addition, I have my personal. I'm a producer at the Andrews Agency. That personal profile. Then my business. So I have three. And Cam, talk to me a little bit about this same topic. So using the personal profile alongside the business profile.
Yeah, so I mean, the groups really only work in a personal profile, in my opinion. You've got to have that one-on-one connection with someone, and in doing that, unintentionally, really, we have built a relationship personally with a lot of these people on our personal page. So therefore, you wind up in a situation where you've got your business page, your normal stuff that you would push business wise, but then you've got all these people that have personally connected with you on your personal page. So then that's where some of the, the golden nuggets are now. It's not throttled near as much. If I post to my personal page or interact with someone, a lot more people get to see it than they do if I do so on a business page. So here recently, we've kind of leveraged that more. We'll start a lot of stuff. We do a lot of back tagging, and we still do some posting to our business pages, certainly, but we always try to share and make sure it's crossing between the two profiles.
That's really interesting. So you bring up a good point. So Facebook wants businesses to pay, so they're going to throttle those posts first, the personal profile. And Chris, at your agency, do you and your staff, are they on your personal their personal profiles interacting and engaging with what the business is doing, or how does that work with you?
They are. We've implemented several different strategies. Some failed and some have worked really well. First off, Matt says, hey, let the expert answer. Let me tell you, there are no experts. We are learning, every one of us, no matter how much success we've had. People change, daily events change, COVID's changed people. So I think it's trial and error. I think, things that we find super successful is being able to, for example, every single week, we have the positivity moment. So every team member shot a video from home, and every week we post a different one of a different person just talking about positivity. And one of our brands is being able to, to make a difference in people's life. It's one of our 12 promises, is answering the phone with a smile. And we feel it's that vital and that critical. So you'll be shocked on how the team will respond when they see one of their teammates out there, because it's a slap in the face if you don't. So of course they're going to respond. That's one aspect of it. I think, I think everybody needs to first, I think Matt hit the nail on the head. I think what the biggest issue is what do you really want out of your Facebook? Are you trying to generate opportunities to sell? And is it truly a sales engine? I think social media is about other people. It's not about you. So stop treating it like it's about you. So I would highly recommend, sell your brand, sell who you are. Agents who sell for us, they have their own brand. We hope that not hope, but when we interview, there needs to be some crossing. For example, a big thing for Paradiso Insurance is Flag Day and standing for the flag and honoring everyone who served this country. Now, if I have agents that sell for me that stand against that, that's a tough thing when it's one of our gold standards of our brand. So I don't want to change the way people think. I'm not here to say, hey, Nick, you have to believe what I believe, but the core is that we have to have some brand recognition and overlap, but they still have to brand themselves, because we're all human beings, and social media started because of branding, period. We all want to be who we want to be, and we want to shed the light of how we want people to see us. So I think strategy is key, and every agent might want something different. I just so hope and believe that I want to sell who we are and what our brand is rather than selling a policy. And I think that's just our approach.
Right.
I like that. So I want to jump to the next question. Facebook has a technology called the Facebook Pixel. Basically, if you install this tracking pixel on your website, it tracks your website visitors, and then you can display ads to those people when they go back to Facebook. This is called retargeting. Cam, does retargeting play at all into your Facebook marketing strategy?
It does, and it's one of the big things that we've used. When I was talking about sharing stuff between profiles, you can create a piece of content that brings value to somebody, whether that be a blog post or a page with information, on a product or whatever. And if you can get people there, you can mark them, and then you then have an audience to go back and build from. So that's something that has really helped us when you're getting into the niche markets and stuff around. If we can bring value to somebody, maybe use a personal page to share, to backlink to a website, and then pitch them when we get there. We've then got an audience.
And Chris, from the Facebook strategy that you outlined earlier, retargeting sounds like it plays into it. Could you kind of talk about that?
It plays a very big role, because first and foremost, if they're on your website and they're looking at auto insurance or looking at commercial, whatever niche you might have, farm insurance, well, you don't want to place a farm ad right in front of someone who's looking for an auto. So first and foremost, that pixel is enormously important. What we try to do and utilize along with that pixel is something called Hotjar. What we are as agents aren't doing right is we create a website, which we're either involved or not involved, but we need to identify, and what Hotjar really is doing is really recording how is Nick going to my website and what's he doing. So it has a heat map, so it's identifying where your eyes are going. It also has a map of monitoring your mouse. So as you move your mouse around, it shows you. And what we've identified, especially with the Facebook traffic, that we had things very complicated. I looked at them and said, this is crazy. They must be fools. No, I'm the fool because I'm looking at it as an agent. They're looking at it as uneducated towards insurance, which most people are not educated towards insurance. But we agents are looking at things from our point of view, not from their point of view. And Hotjar has opened my eyes to my Facebook traffic to really understand that we needed to rearrange things, and we did, and simplify things and place specific things right in front of them. And you can convert that traffic tremendously. In Hotjar, 2 weeks, you can try it for free. I think it's about $25 a month. It's dirt cheap. It's just a great little tool that goes along. I'm not, the retargeting is huge, but you have to understand your audience. And without that Hotjar, I could be getting, and which I figured and realized because of Hotjar, I had a different audience coming from Facebook versus just going direct to my website as a business person. So we had to rearrange things to really simplify things so that people had a call to action on every single page. Every page needed a call to action because they were, I don't want to say more simple-minded, they had their blinders on because they really didn't understand insurance. So that really opened our eyes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot of things you said there that I kind of want to unpack, and one of them was relevance as it relates to retargeting and the Facebook pixel. And Patrick, can you kind of hit on the importance of relevance and how the Facebook pixel plays into that?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll tell you is if you don't have the Facebook pixel installed on your website, do it today, right now. Even if you're not going to run advertising, because you want to get the data flowing in there so you can be more successful as you go down the road. So you don't have to necessarily be buying ads to integrate the Facebook pixel, but you do have to set up an ad account. So get that on your site, start to get some data flowing in there, because retargeting is, everybody should be doing retargeting. I mean, we're all used to it, right? You go to a website, you go to Facebook, you see the thing you wanted to buy, right? It can be a little creepy at times, and there's some things you can do as a practitioner to be a little less creepy, but you're going to want that to be one of the first arrows in your quiver when you start to get serious about social media advertising, because you don't want to lose that traffic that you got there that probably was valuable, but you just needed a little more time on. And then that data side, what Chris said is totally right. You're going to get advanced really quickly. You're going to be able to tell through the data that's coming in, yeah, they went to an auto policy page. Yeah, they went to a homeowner policy page. Let's hit them with an ad that reiterates those messages or gives them, starts to walk them down the path to conversion by giving them more of that education around that topic. And then your brand gets stronger, and then that lead gets stronger, and all of a sudden the close starts to come. So retargeting is, is a must do, and get that Facebook pixel on as soon as you can.
And Chris, the other thing you just mentioned regarding Hotjar is it's kind of providing you with, I'm going to call it next level data. And could we talk about data for a second? I would like to hear from everyone. And we're running these Facebook marketing campaigns. It's generating all this data. How are you tracking it? How are you using the data to make data-driven decisions?
So we have a system built inside of our management system because we do have an open API. And I very fortunate to have brilliant data scientists that have created an algorithm called the centimeter score. And the centimeter score allows, it's an algorithm that understands our clients through our journey to say, it's very similar to a net promoter score, but it's very different. So a net promoter score sends Nick an email, and Nick says, oh, I give you an 8 and things are okay, but I really didn't need anything, but you're good. No problem. A centimeter score tracks every touch point that we touch Nick as a client. So if I send you an email and you open it, that plays a positive role to our centimeter score. If you call our office, our centimeter takes every phone call and converts it to words and says, is Nick happy with our agency or is Nick not happy with our agency? So that centimeter score allows me, when we're calling to do our retention strategy, to say, oh, Nick's a 99. Nick must be liking us. Let's look at why he likes us. It tells us. More importantly, Nick really doesn't like us. why doesn't Nick like us? It actually says the journey and says the days and points out identical to the conversations that we've had, why we might have dropped the ball. For example, going through one specific recently is a lady called us, a client called us at 3:30 in the afternoon, wanted to pick up her car. She clearly stated that. We dropped the ball and the ID card didn't go out until the following day. Because we email out of our system, which sits inside, the centimeter score went from a 78 right down to a 52 because the centimeter score knew she didn't get her car last night. She's probably pretty pissed. So that centimeter score plays an enormous role. The other thing that data is playing is it's identifying. So as we're going through things, it goes into the social world along into the management system world and says, and identifies through the Department of Motor Vehicle, Nick has 2 classic cars, but we only have a home and auto. So it'll alert us to go and call Nick that it's identified Nick has 2 classic cars. Okay, and it does the same thing with engagement rings. It does the same thing with travel. So travel insurance is going to play a big role because we know that we can sell travel insurance because people, it's identified, they're going on a cruise, they're international travel, whatever they might be. Our data is being able to pick up that, and it's something called Arias Analytics. By far, the most game-changing tool inside an agency. It
Chris.
even gives us the, so if I know, Nick, you're a client, I insure your home and auto, it tells me the average income on the street that you live on. So does that not change the game when I go after your life insurance?
Does, Chris? Sometimes I think you should be the one teaching me. I mean, this is
Seriously.
Really advanced.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
I
gonna
love
need
it.
to hire your data analyst. I think even here.
I just
They
want to
are
confirm.
way smarter than all of us. I just smart enough to realize that they're smarter. And the tool is just insane. The great Frank Setner was behind it. He created Sajita Management System. He tied in with these really highly intelligent company out of India who moved over here. They're based right here in Connecticut right now. They're really based in India, but in America while they're here. When I tell you Sharp, they've taken behavior data, which the property and casualty world has ignored way too much. I think that is the game-changing thing. That's why life insurance companies are way ahead of us P&C people because they've been utilizing behavior data a lot longer than we have.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. You know how you're leveraging that data scientist and creating that algorithm. It's very impressive, and that's going to be tough to follow. But you know, Cam, I would love to hear how your agency is leveraging data and how you're kind of making data-driven decisions based on what you're seeing in your Facebook marketing efforts.
It's really coming back to just building audiences and getting that data. So if we can get somebody interacting with us, then we can start to, you know, build the retargets and stuff from that. That's really as complicated as we've got, but it has worked very well from us, even on such a simplistic level.
And Patrick, Constant Contact's a very well-known brand. You must have a massive amount of data. Do you implement data scientists, and how is Constant Contact leveraging data and analyzing data to make decisions based on your Facebook products?
Yeah, we are very data driven, as you would imagine. You know, having billions of email addresses and tons of site visitors every day, we can utilize all that data to make better decisions. One of the things that we use out of that data we haven't talked a lot about here within Facebook is lookalike modeling, and that's something I would recommend that everybody take a look at, which is you can upload your data or you can use your pixel data to say, hey, here's everybody who came to my site, or here's every customer I have who's really high value. Can you go find me people who look like that? One drawback is that it has a minimum setting by geography. So you have to go to 1% of, say, the United States, which is often 2 million people. But you can then cut that lookalike by Facebook data, right? So build your lookalike off your high value customers, then cut it by geography or cut it by income level or cut it by gender. There's so many ways you can slice it to get down to a more reasonable audience that's really a likely target for you. And that's one way to leverage your data, Facebook's data, that intent data, as we would call it, like site traffic, activity. Putting all those three things together, you can get much more efficient at finding the right folks.
That's really, really interesting. We have
Great
one more.
piece of advice, Patrick. Great piece of advice.
Absolutely. So we have one more question before we open it up to the audience and see what they have to ask you folks. So this is really an open-ended question, and it's about you know, your add your monthly budgets, how much revenue are you generating, policies, lift. So anything, you know, Cam, you can share with us related to that. Your Facebook efforts, what is it actually doing for your agencies, policies in force count, retention, et cetera?
When you get into our niche markets, it is probably accounting for the best we can track numbers, about 50% of our business. Something to do with the groups, or even if it's not direct, it's that we have built an audience, and then we can build rapport with these people. So we have a relationship with them by the time we get there, because we've connected and shared information, and they know who we are and trust us at that point. As far as true spends, honestly, we are not doing big spends on Facebook right now. We have in the past. It's somewhere we've been. You've got to pay to play with them, and it just at the point was not really working out in our favor. So we've kind of pulled back some of the true promoted campaigns or something of that nature, and moved to more of like a grassroots. And when you look at that from an ROI standpoint, there's nothing to lose. We go out, we bring value, we give information, and it's paid back to us tenfold.
And Patrick, what are you seeing from other small businesses across the country in terms of spend and ROI when it comes to Facebook?
This is the $30,000 question that I get asked all the time, and I give the worst answer, so I'm very sorry. But it all depends, right? People want me to be like $41 per lead. That's it. But like the real answer is, it depends on your industry, it depends on your target, it depends on your audience. But you have to test into it yourself, right? If you can't just go into it saying I'm expecting it's going to be $50, then it's 75, and I think it's failed. Like you kind of have to work your way around it, because I've had customers who have a $1.50 lead, and they just churn them in there, and then they put them into a lead nurture, and eventually the cost per is really good for them. Then there's some businesses that had $1,000 lead, and I was like, oh geez, they're not going to come back. And they're like, no, that's great. Like we sell jet engines, right? So it's like, okay, you got to think about what's going to be that return on your investment. That being said, you do want to make sure you're getting the most and you're being as efficient as possible. Cam, as you said, like Facebook can be expensive, especially if you haven't done your homework and you know your way around. But what's nice is you can cut your results by a lot of different things. So one of the things you're going to do is not just run it and say it was $75, but look deeper. Like, what was the lead cost by gender, by age, by location? You may see, hey, we spent $1,000 in Hawaii, we didn't get a single lead. Why are ads running in Hawaii? Make sure you turn those off. And then the algorithm within Facebook's going to get you to the right people over time. So it's a lot. I don't want to intimidate anybody, but if you're going to get really serious about this spend in here, you can be efficient, but you got to put in the work.
And Chris, could you share any information regarding ROI, ad spend, et cetera?
Yeah, we have I would say a convoluted strategy, because I don't think anything when it comes to algorithms is simple. So about 13% of our new business comes from Facebook. On a slow month, or for example, like a December, we'll spend $1,000. Pretty standard is $2,000 to $3,000 a month. About 60 to 65% of that dollar spend is spent on nurturing our existing book of business through Facebook. So I will argue with any agent who is so focused on new business that they're missing the boat with all the trusted clients they already have. So I am a guy who believes that the foundation of our agency is really built on our existing clients. So I spend more nurturing and print and anything to do with calendars, t-shirts with our existing book of business than I do on new business. So that's pretty much where we are. So we do have a big budget on more nurturing than nurturing new opportunities. We love the opportunities that already are nurtured within our existing book of business. So how do we nurture them more so we can get referrals and continue our brand in front of them, which it's to us, it's extremely powerful. Our brand is by far our most powerful thing that we have for a lethal weapon. But I do have 3 full-time marketing people, so the average agency doesn't have that. Maybe agencies that are true north side, which they're huge, and we collaborate with them, and it's amazing. When they have 7 to 9 people, but they also have 400 people working there, where we have 30, and we have three people out of a 30-person agency who 100% do marketing. They are not licensed. Their only job and responsibility is building the brand and our brand messaging.
So Chris, that was actually one of the questions from the audience. Someone was wondering how you're doing the marketing at the agency. So it sounds like you have 3 full-time marketers who are
yes
doing everything. Okay.
So I'll be brutally honest. I have 2 that are in the office, and then I hired a graphic designer in the Philippines. Is much more reasonable, and the work is impeccable. I think for everything that my brand stands for, most people would say, "Oh, you're a hypocrite, Chris." I found a better result, unfortunately, in the Philippines with a gentleman who just works extremely hard, and it's just been a very, very good relationship. But I have 2 full-time in the office and 1 full-time, which he works during the day in the Philippines, which the day here is the night there. And he has, what I've found is in a culture in the Philippines, when their family is sick, it's a little different here. We go to nursing homes, but they don't do that. And it's given him a great opportunity, and we've built a great relationship. He's one of us, and he's never been to America. So after this, can't wait to get him over here. But we do have 3 full-time people, 40 hours a week. So at the end of the day, it's 120 hours of marketing.
Wow. And Cam, what about your agency? Who's doing the marketing for you?
I kind of manage it as a super small agency of 5 people. We don't have the resources to do that. I manage it, and we use a lot of third parties and contract labor, or not really contract labor, but contracting out individual things. I do as much of it as I can, but it's something that I can't be a master of everything. So I leverage the information that's out there, and the power that they have, and let the people do what they do.
Great. And Patrick, the next question is for you. You mentioned earlier about maybe agents feeling overwhelmed because there's so many options. So the question is, where do you get started with Facebook advertising? What would be that first step between I want to do this and what's that very next step?
Yeah, I would say, Chris, what you said about Blueprint is great. If you have the time and can put in the education, going through Blueprint to get some of the basics with Facebook is a must do. If you can't do that, or it's not how you learn, I always tell people you just got to get in there. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty. So number 1, set that pixel up, because in doing that, you're going to learn a lot about the structure of Facebook and how Facebook works, what campaigns are, what ad sets are. You're going to kind of see that. Then you really need to kind of test the waters, right? Get your first advertising campaign out in market. And I usually say, don't think about 1, think about at least 2, right? You want to have 2 that are doing slightly different things so that you can understand what they're doing and how you can turn the knobs, right? You don't want to just do $1,000 link click traffic campaign and be like, well, I didn't reach enough people, and be like, well, that's not what that kind of a campaign does. So you might want to have one that's about reach, and one that's about traffic, and one, as you build out your infrastructure, you can start to do ones that optimize to conversions if you have like an e-commerce flow or a lead gen form on your site that you want to track against. So it's really about, like I said, getting your hands dirty. Blueprint is a great resource, but until you're in there, you're not going to really understand kind of the nuances of it.
Patrick, you gave 2 great starting points. Blueprint, pixel your website. I mean, there's no better starting point than right there. And you should be able to start both at the same time.
Right. I know this is a Facebook specific conversation, but I know there's probably agents who would find this valuable. If you're going to put a Facebook pixel on your site, maybe put other social platforms on there too. LinkedIn is the one I'd say go after next, because LinkedIn will actually tell you the industry that the person works in that has visited your site. So you're going to know, you can actually learn from that LinkedIn pixel if the traffic you're getting from all your sources is even good, right? Like if you put in the LinkedIn pixel and you don't run ads at all, you just go into their insights tab and it's like, yeah, I do agriculture insurance and I'm getting a bunch of dentists. Well, like, why am I paying for that traffic? So there are other things that you can leverage to kind of paint a fuller picture.
Patrick, can I just add one thing on that? You are absolutely spot on. But if you want to add one other piece of tool after you do that pixel, something called Crystal. Crystal will actually identify, so let's say Nick Andrews went to your website, Patrick, and then he came off. It's going to give you the details of his personality on how to sell to Nick, and it's called Crystal. It's basically what we all should be doing. We do personality tests, right? Before we hire. This is a personality test that's identifying what type of person does Nick work with and how is his personality, and it's a great insight tool that will help you sell to those people. It gives you don't have to go do the research. It plops it all right in there. And when I tell you it's pretty darn accurate, check it on yourself and you'll be shocked.
I'm always too scared. I even one time went in my own Facebook ad settings, which I highly recommend everybody do. And it is interesting what they think about us. Might not be what we think about ourselves, but it is true sometimes. Truer than we want it to be.
They know us better than we do sometimes.
Yes, it's very true.
It's kind of sick, but true.
I'm furiously taking notes here. I'm running Crystal down. I'm going to check that out after the call. Thank you.
You're going to be freaked out over that thing. I'm telling you, especially for those that like LinkedIn, that really want to be serious about selling on LinkedIn. It's game changing.
So I'm going to keep on rolling here. So Cam, the next question is for you. Could you touch on the importance of consistency and specifically how long did it take you to build your audience, your Facebook group audience, and how long did that take to get up and running?
We didn't really become involved in groups until probably 18 months to possibly 2 years ago, but really in the past 12 to 18 months, we've turned that on. That's when I made a push personally to, be involved in both ways. I needed information. I wanted to share information and just, really be an asset to those. So, in a matter of, I would say, months in most instances, if with consistent contact, you can start to do that. And then from there.
What specifically is consistent contact for you? It's like once a week or 3 times a week?
Facebook seems to find you everywhere you go. It's mostly daily, if not hourly in some instances.
Oh, wow.
It pops up on your phone, somebody interacted with you or they think you might like this post for some reason, or, somebody that you've been interacting with a lot has asked something else, whatever that may be. It's probably more often than is probably necessary in some instances, but, just whatever that may be for you and whatever that allows. But I would say probably on at least weekly.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Next question is for you, Chris. Chris, you mentioned earlier some of your posts are getting just a huge amount of shares. What would you say to that agent who's maybe feeling a little discouraged about low engagement? They're just starting their digital strategy. What would you say to that agent?
Well, I think the one thing that Patrick and I would probably disagree with is if you don't have fans, you're going to pay more money to build and get eyeballs on your posts. So the larger fan base, maybe that's a bad word, the more likes you get on your page. When you spend $10, it'll be different for me than it would be for an agency who might have 50 likes. So that is one aspect of reach, right? Why we are so focused on our brand is because we want to identify with similar-minded people. I believe the easiest way to sell, that's why we are, if there's such thing as king of Pinterest, we love Pinterest because Pinterest is giving me the brand of everybody. So I spend at least an hour a day myself identifying prospects on Pinterest every single day. I think it's just a great tool, but the best thing is to take it back. And we take it back and take Nick Ayers, as I know so much about Nick because of Pinterest. Coming from the life insurance world in 1998, spending hours and hours in training in New York City, the guy would say, when you walked in their house, you had them sold because everything they love is on their wall. Well, what's Pinterest? Pinterest is life insurance coming alive, saying, if we can understand what Nick loves and we can identify, meaning you're from Connecticut, you love the Yankees, let's just say. Well, how did I write the Fox News anchor? Because he loved the Yankees like I did, so I pinpointed him. I created a relationship, reached out on Facebook. Now he's been a client for multi-years, and he's the guy that goes on the air to boost all of our community-based marketing. Anything we're doing to raise money. And it all started through a Pinterest post because he had a passion for the Yankees like this guy does. You didn't know the Yankees are in first place right now, all alone. So sorry to get carried away. I get a little animated because I think all this social media, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, it all comes down to one thing, communication in an alternative way that,
Right.
some people enjoy and some people don't.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point that, like, again, this being a Facebook conversation, there are some verticals and niches that Facebook might not be right for you, right? It might not be a platform where you're going to find a lot of success, and they might all be on Pinterest or they might all be on LinkedIn. So you might want to test the waters there rather than say, I'm going all in on Facebook. Facebook obviously so big, data, the advertising platform is mature. You're going to find success there, but your audience may actually be more active elsewhere.
But I would argue with any agent that says they shouldn't be on Facebook, because if you want your website to be found, you cannot tell me and look me in the eyes that search engine optimization on Facebook plays a role in your SEO. What does that mean? If your agency website wants to be found and you're telling me you don't have a Facebook page, you're paying a significant amount of money. It's PPC, it's pay-per-click, because Facebook plays a role. Shares, likes, and comments play a role in your agency website in being found. So that's why I say when we have a very convoluted and strategic strategy, some of it is nothing other than, can we get 20,000 shares so we boost our website? Okay. At the end of the day is we want more eyeballs. Now, obviously we want the right eyeballs, and that doesn't always work. But if we get 50,000 people, we know that of those 50,000, there's some good eyeballs in there that we want to ensure.
Yeah.
Love it. So last question is for Patrick. Can you talk a little bit about the different types of media regarding like images, video, plain text? What really works on Facebook from a media perspective?
Video works really well. I would say it's declining a little bit because it was working well for so long because folks had autoplay enabled on their news feeds, and a lot of advertisers weren't using video. So it stood out in the feed. To me, video has a purpose. And if you're trying to tell a story and you want to tell a story more broadly, think about using videos. But across all the creative, you're going to want to go, just think about your own feed. Like, what's going to stop the thumb, right? That's what we say. What is the image or the video or the text, the copy, the format that's going to stop somebody in their tracks? And also think about the optimization. So a lot of folks, as they get into Facebook, there's actually, when you buy on Facebook, there's 18 different advertising placements across Facebook's ecosystem. Instagram stories, Facebook stories, what's called their audience network, which is like apps, New York Times app. You could be on the New York Times app through Facebook. All those are slightly different creative too. So you actually want to spend some time on your creative and make sure you're optimizing for that user experience. I find that the ads that are the least successful are the ones that are almost like set it and forget it. They're like, oh yeah, we had a banner ad and we posted the banner ad as the image on Facebook and it didn't work. Well, of course not. Like, it's not going to work that way. So spend some time on your creative. Don't overdo it. Don't make a video just to make a video, but focus on making something that's really going to stand out in the feed.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to be authentic. And crying is laughing, smiling, being mad. I think people, when you show vulnerability, you're showing the true human being. There's so many fake people on social media. You just look at them, I shake my head saying, the world their life can't be that good. But right. I think being vulnerable is truly being real. And people texted me recently. On Mother's Day, I lost my mom. Not this Mother's Day, but about a year ago. And the last kiss I gave her before she died, and it's emotional, and it's who I am. And what am I? I'm not man enough to know that my mom was a rock. I'm okay showing it, and you'll be surprised on how people take you as being real. That they say, "Well, that's vulnerable." So we're all vulnerable. We all cry. We're all tough guys at times, right? And we're all a bunch of sissies at times. We're human beings. We don't have to pretend to be something we're not.
Right.
Like, and it's Cam, sound like you had one other thing to
Yeah, I was just
comment
going
on.
to say a big thing with the content when it comes to what you're putting out. You've got to be intentional in what you're doing. There's got to be some thought or a process behind it. I see so many people that have a daily process of finding a carrier. Nothing against the carriers and the articles that they post, and sharing an article or a link or something from a carrier site. It has no traction. It gets one like, and they take time out of their day to go and do that every day for no real gain to them. Be intentional in what you're doing. Be authentic, make sure that it's on brand with you, that it's what you're wanting to come across to the people, and then to make sure it brings some kind of value. If you're posting content that brings no value to people, they're never going to stop and look at it.
That's great. Well, guys, thank you so much. This is all the time we have for today. Before I let you go, Chris, how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Easy. You want to give me a call? Cell phone is 860-836-1230. You want to send me an email? It's really easy. It's cparadiso@paradisoinsurance.com, or just Google Chris Paradiso. I think we've done a pretty good job. Or something will pop up. You just click on there, and email will come to me.
Awesome. And Cam, what about you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I always joke that I'm available any way that you prefer. Facebook, if that's what we're talking about here, I'm always there. You can do that. I did a messenger chat or a video chat in Messenger with a client the other day. If that's what you need, then that's the way we'll do it. Cell is 931-309-8428, or you can shoot me an email. It's cam, C-A-M, @winterburninsurance.com.
Thank you. And Patrick, how about you?
I am the face behind all of Constant Contact's social channels. So if you reach out to Constant Contact on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, that's actually me behind the scenes, or someone who's on my team. But if you want to get to me personally, I think you can see my name in this Zoom window is P. Galuli, first initial, last name. That's my Twitter handle. I'm most active on Twitter. So again, be where your audience is. If you're trying to find me, find me on Twitter. That's my handle. And I would love to answer any questions that anybody has. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Great. Thank you so much. And you can always reach me at agentprograms@libertymutual.com. Well, guys, we're done for today. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk about Facebook marketing. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.